Innovation, imagination, wonder. These are just some of the words used to describe Dr. Harvey Passes. Dr. Passes explores interesting people and ideas that will stimulate you. He questions the people who develop, create, and employ novel concepts in business and everyday lives. He especially loves to speak with successful people. How did they do it? How can you do it too? So let's join Dr. Harvey Passes in his quest of wonder and curiosity as we watch Dr. Harvey Passes Presents.
Look at you.
I have a fascinating show for you today. And I've got someone very interesting who I'd like you to meet. I'd like you to meet my rabbi, Rabbi Todd Chizner. Rabbi, it's a pleasure to have you back on the show again.
Thank you, Dr. Passes. It is wonderful to be here.
You're an absolute delight, and you're bright, you're knowledgeable, you're informative, and you're very understanding and very considerate.
You sound just like all the other congregants.
Thank you. The show is over. Let's go home now. And let me just tell my viewer a little bit about why I asked you to come down here right now, and it's not for prayers. Let me tell you a little bit about why I asked the good rabbi to come down here for this TV show. Recently, I had a conversation with Rabbi Chizner, and we were talking all about certain books, and one book came up, and the book was called The Secret. Now, I really hadn't known much about it until I started delving into it more deeply, and we spoke about it, and he was explaining that some people feel that there is a relationship between this book, The Secret, which you're going to learn more about today, and Judaism. And others feel that that's not so. So I asked him if he would come down here so we can discuss all of this. I think you're going to really be amazed and interested when you hear what this is all about, because I promise you, it will affect you. You don't have to be Jewish to really enjoy and understand what this show is going to be all about. So let's begin. Okay, the book, we'll start off with the book, The Secret, because that's what's been getting all the public's attention. And this book, The Secret, is written by, is it pronounced, or is Rhonda Byrne?
I'm not exactly sure. Maybe
I think it's Byrne, Byrne.
Yes.
And I can't even hold it up. You just see a card.
She's Australian.
Right, Australian. And very fascinating. Would you talk a little bit about this book? What does this book profess?
Well, this book professes to reveal to us a secret that has been hidden, buried, disguised, known by just 1% maybe of the people throughout civilization.
For millennia.
For millennia. And what is this secret? What is the secret that is now, we are very fortunate to find out what it is. It is the law of attraction.
The law of attraction.
Of attraction.
Explain what the law of attraction means, so someone listening doesn't say, watching right now, would say, you mean you think I'm attractive? I mean, what do you mean by the law of attraction?
Yeah, the law of attraction is based on the concept that what I think, what I imagine, what I believe, I can make real. It can be drawn to me. And it goes for anything and everything. What I think, I can receive. That is the law of attraction.
Now, again, we have to make this, perfectly clear, as Nixon would say, that we're not just talking about good things. I'm sure someone could say, look, I'd like $1 million. Okay, and we are talking about that, but we're also talking about I want good health, I want a job, I want, and go on, whatever it is. But also, there's the flip side, that you can also be attracted to, or get attracted to you, disease, failures. Please expound on that.
One of the challenges about The Secret and its philosophy is that you are essentially responsible for everything that happens in your life. And that includes the good and the bad.
Right.
And the idea is that there is the universe. I guess that's another term in the book for God. This power, this unlimited power that we can tap into and manifest to our will. We can create and do based on how we want to use that universe. And let's say we are focused in on something. It uses the example, you're in a rush, you want to get to work on time, but you keep on saying to yourself, please, no traffic, but you are actually...
You're thinking negatively.
But you're actually, the universe doesn't understand no and don't and give me, it just understands
Traffic.
the image, traffic. And sure enough, you pull out onto the expressway and there it is, bumper to bumper, there's traffic. And that's one of its proofs. Now, of course, you raise the other issue, that's mundane, that's every day. What about the big stuff? What about the problematic things in life? You mentioned disease. And that's, of course, where I personally find this very troubling. Or even worse yet, accidents, things that happen to us that we were completely not aware that they were going to. Boom. Are we responsible for those? And according to this wisdom, the answer is yes, we are. So,
I know we're taking something that there's a book here of I don't know how many pages. There's a book here of 100, almost 200 pages. And then there's also a DVD of this, which is like 90 minutes.
Right.
And we're giving a couple of minutes to all of this information here to try to explain. But the bottom line, from what I understand, having delved into this,
yes,
is that you have to empty your mind of anything except the fact that you want this and that you envision that you already have it. I want this pen, and I've always wanted this pen, and I've seen it, but I don't physically have it. But I have to take on the persona of someone who has it, and I have to feel it.
Right.
I've got to feel the pen in my hand, and I've got to do this all the time. And eventually, somehow, that pen will wind up making its way into my possession through various ways. Now, someone listening to this could say, well, wait a minute, what is this, magic? And it's far more than magic. It's a matter of just how somehow events bring it to you, whether you consciously go out and get it because you think about it so much that you put yourself in a position to get it, or somehow you mention it and someone else brings it because you let it be known. Am I correct in what I'm stating?
Well,
in that respect.
I think that to say that positive thinking and I'm going to motivate myself and imagining it and that's going to enable me to do it is not what the book is saying.
Explain.
No, I think the book is saying that you actually control the universe. You are somehow creating this with your thoughts. And that is different than having positive thoughts, which I am a very big supporter of.
Of course.
And Judaism is a very big supporter of. And keeping those positive thoughts in mind, which help us to greet people with a smile, with pleasant words, and to think about others before we think about ourselves. These are all good things. We feel good. And that, by the way, that attracts people. I mean, think about it. You like to be around people who are pleasant and happy and joyous.
People who make you feel good.
People who make you feel good.
Right.
So, but that's not what this is saying.
Okay. So they're saying basically that if you envision this and you feel it and you want it, it will come to you.
It will come to you. It will come to you. The universe will allow things to align in just the right way, and it will come to you.
So then that is a far cry than what I was just saying.
It is more along the lines of magic in that respect, yes.
Now, why do people say that, some people say that there is a relationship between the secret and things lining up in the universe so that it comes to you, whatever it might be,
right,
and Judaism? Please.
It's a good question. I think that you can find some aspects of positive thinking, even in our prayers. Our prayers are made up of very few, by the way, give me's. A little bit, but very few. Most of our prayers are focused in on what am I thankful for?
Right.
What am I awed by?
Right.
And this gives us an appreciation of the world that was given to us, that God has bestowed upon us. And because we realize that we can't get everything. And it's not always about us. So much of the Jewish prayers is helping us think about others, giving charity, healing the sick, reaching out to those in need in numerous ways. And that's meant to motivate us, those inward thoughts. But there are similarities in that respect on the most superficial level. I also think that what Rhonda Byrne has done is that she has said the Babylonians, the ancient Egyptians, Judaism, Christianity, Hinduism all have elements of this. Well, because that gives this authenticity. Connect it to these ancient religions that have been tried and proven true. And look, this has always been there, and see, I'm just distilling it. And that's essentially what she's saying. There is a concept within Judaism of a law of attraction.
Let's talk about that.
That is even more specific.
Go ahead.
But it can be taken out of context. So in context, Rabbi Ben Azai said, mitzvah goreret mitzvah, avera goreret avera. Means a mitzvah, which is a commanded deed, begets another mitzvah, another commanded deed. An avera is a bad deed, for lack of a better term, which begets another bad deed. Let's use the negative one first. One lie leads to another
lie.
To another. We compound it.
Right.
Okay? So we tend to attract it, and it's true. We do. We cover something up. We have to create more things to cover it up, and that fits very well. And that's the context of it. Same with the good deed, another term for mitzvah,
right,
which is not fully. The reason why we shouldn't say good deed exactly is because a mitzvah can be anything that Judaism identifies that God has commanded us to perform. So one performance of a mitzvah, and let's say for argument's sake it is helping someone in need. And we see this, we do this, we go to a soup kitchen, we arrive there, we help someone.
Right.
Now, we see the need, we understand this, and it makes us feel good. We see the benefit to the individual, and we want to do more. It's almost impossible to not be impacted by these wonderful deeds, and so it leads to more good. But it is a law of attraction within the confines of what God has commanded us.
That's vastly different.
Absolutely.
Than what we're saying here.
Right.
What we're saying here is you want something, it will come to you.
That's right.
If you just focus and you think about it and you believe that you have it and you feel it.
Right.
What you're stating is something, a different kind of attraction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a potential danger in this. I was giving some thought to the philosophy in The Secret and comparing it to the philosophy of Judaism and its own law of attraction. This is, if you think about it hard enough, you can get it. You pointed out before, what if what you want is going to hurt someone else? Well, according to this, you will get it. And what if you want is to do something that, well, other laws say you can't get?
Right.
I was thinking gravity. I mean, what if someone says and believes in this and says, I'm going to fly? I know this is a silly example, but...
Right, but it's extreme.
It's extreme. And jumps out the window. Well, no matter how much meditating, you're not going to fly.
I kind of believe that's true.
But this is also dangerous in that it's an easy way out. And I think that's why it was so attractive. I mean, the numbers say that it sold 4 million copies in
6 months.
6 months, right.
Amazing.
In the first 6 months. And why? Because it gives you an easy way out. Well, you don't have to study. There's no mention of studying. We're learning. There's no mention of what's passed down from generation to generation. When you think, and when I think about what we have learned from our parents and grandparents, it's not just the wisdom. It's the eating together. It's the smells of the holidays. It's being together. There is something to that is not mentioned in here. There's no sense of community. There's no sense of tradition.
No, it's all individual. It's almost narcissistic.
Well, the term, I guess the perfect term would be a solipsistic, the philosophy that there is nothing outside of myself, and that I am in complete control of everything, and that is a narcissism. But it also makes us akin to God. It makes us, it gives us the same power and authority as God.
Oh, as God, yes.
As God.
Yes.
And of course, in Judaism, that is the worst form of a violation, and that's idolatry to the nth degree, making yourself God and worshiping yourself.
Right. So now, what's so significant about, say, discuss community, well, heritage, and learning of all this in the Jewish faith?
It is the cornerstone of Judaism.
Explain that.
Those elements. You know, I was thinking about that as well. Friday night services, every Shabbat. My synagogue community comes together. We pray together. And we take time to surround each other for moments of healing. We ask people to mention people's names who are sick. And it's not just, and I shouldn't say just, it's not only to ask God to send forgiveness, but it's to let one another know there's someone else who's in need. We might know that person and have been unaware that they were sick. We can reach out to them, call them, visit with them. And you ask people, what helped them the most in their times of need? It was knowing that people cared and people were thinking of them. Judaism capitalizes on this. We are encouraged to pray in a minyan, in a group no smaller than 10. Right? And at good times and bad times. So celebrations too. Even a wedding, we are encouraged. Have a minyan. Don't do these things alone because that feels good to be wrapped up in your community. It is positive. And the idea that we are responsible for one another. Right? That great Jewish bit of wisdom about the individual in a boat with the others who starts to drill a hole under his seat. and the other one say, what are you doing? And he says, it's only under my seat.
Right.
And Judaism says that's the way we are with one another, with the world as a whole. Someone can't drill a hole under their seat and not expect all of us to get wet. The same goes for if someone is in need. It is also our responsibility to care for them and be with them. Learning and studying, I mean, come on. There is no moral or ethical truths displayed in this.
That's exactly correct. I found nothing like that at all. I found nothing in there.
Listen.
And that surprised me.
It's one of the very dangerous parts of this, which says that I'm not morally culpable. I don't have to know. There is no moral standard.
It's like giving someone a weapon. Now, on the other hand, in the story of The Secret, you get the impression that The Secret has always been tried to be kept a secret, and that no one's supposed to know this. No one, only that small percentage. And indeed, the book mentions, whether it's Lincoln and like Galileo, all the greatest thinkers of history knew it.
They knew it.
Knew it, and so, and this is where I have the problem with all this, because it's basically telling me that I could sit down there and I can think and get this wish fulfillment. Your wish is my command. This is with the genie. I just find that difficult to believe, and maybe that's the reason why it doesn't happen if this is true, because I find it difficult to believe.
Well, listen, if this was true, wonder how great would that be? But ever since this book was out, what changes have gone on in the world? I mean, obviously there are people who are practicing this and believing in this.
Yeah, in the stock market.
They haven't really
hasn't worked too well
out that much. No, I mean, unless they're really only thinking about themselves, which is, of course, how could that make any sense? How could that make any sense? When you think about all these successful individuals throughout history, you also learn about them. I mean, they quote Mother Teresa, and I'm thinking to myself, Mother Teresa, as someone who believed in this philosophy. And her whole life was about doing. And this is not about doing. This is not about doing. It's about imagining. And everything about it. They used the example with her that she would never go to an anti-war rally. She would go to a peace rally. Again, anti-war would attract war, more fighting, and peace would attract peace. But even to bring her name up in this context is an insult. Because she wasn't and this is a big part of asking about what's in Judaism that's missing in this idea of deeds, of doing, right? Our prayers in Judaism are meant to motivate us to do. The great scene in the Torah when the Israelites are standing at the sea and the Egyptians are running and they hear the horses and the clanging, and Moses turns to God and says, what should we do? And God says, essentially, don't pray right now. Walk into the sea. Go forward. Go forward. And for Mother Teresa, for Martin Luther King Jr., for these great leaders that are mentioned in this book, they did. They didn't sit there and think only. Sure, they were positive. And sure, they tried to motivate us. But they did. And that's what made the difference in this world. This book implies that the world has a potential to be absolutely perfect. Judaism says that's not true. The world isn't perfect. But we can't escape that. This is saying escape imperfection, right? Don't ever focus in on it. But what about the person who is involved and they are broken and they're not here yet? Mm-hmm. How do we get them out? We have to go there with them. Mm-hmm. We have to help them. That's no sense in here.
It also doesn't take into account what I said to you earlier, in that my understanding is being proactive and you physically doing something, which you just said a few moments ago. Right. It doesn't it doesn't do that. Whereas the people whose phrases, there's a better term for it.
They give testimonials.
The testimonials, thank you. I couldn't think of the word. These people that they use for testimonials in the book, those were all doers.
Right.
I mean, every last one of them were people who were responsible for being proactive in doing something. I mean, this book is not telling you to do that. The book's telling you to just sit there and think about it.
It's interesting, and aside from a couple of them, many of them are doing for others as well, and it does assume that if we had this gift, we would simply just, I guess, think about others. And there is this one section that says, don't worry, there's plenty in the world to go around.
Right, there's abundance.
There's abundance. Don't worry about it. It says, well, people ask when, I guess the author is saying people have asked her, if someone, wants so much, will there be left for others? But, I mean, is that saying that there is not a finite amount of things? I mean, it goes against the exact principle. If someone wants everything, according to this philosophy, they should be able to get it. Mm-hmm. But in order for that to happen, someone has to have less,
right? Which
also means they have to want it to give less, to give it up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There's too much of a contradiction, so it just makes it difficult, and things just don't make sense. If a congregant came to you mm-hmm. and said, Rabbi, I read this book.
And a congregant did come up to me
and
yes.
said that to you.
Yes.
And said, well, what do you think? Well, I mean, I can give funny answers right now, but what did you say?
I said I love the idea of positive thought. I love the idea of thinking things through, and instead of seeing I have to go to work, I want to go, I get to go. Instead of saying to yourself, this is so terrible that the way things are, finding the positive. I think those are very helpful and beneficial things, as long as they are not avoiding mm-hmm. the truth and the reality. But that we can't rely on this. We still need our community. And of course, I believe we still need our faith in God. And we need that because that helps to give us a sense of humility. It helps to guide us in the moral and ethical truths that we know mm-hmm. to be true and have been proven over the centuries. And we need one another. So it's definitely something that we can benefit from on one level, but it can't be the entirety of everything.
If this book was retitled and it said, "Learn the Jewish Secret," do you think it would do it as well, or not as well?
It would be very vague. It would take a lot of work. And I think that's, one of the things you mentioned, the pages, and I think it even ends a little before that last page you mentioned, and it gives all the biographies. Mm-hmm. So it's only 180-something pages, mm-hmm. and they're very small pages. There's not much written on them. Right. And it's really the same idea repeated over and over again.
Absolutely.
So it's a very easy way out. I hate to say it, but there's a lot of work involved. The way I look at Judaism and other great faiths is that they are a practice, maybe like an instrument. And we all know that I don't know, you could buy one of those keyboards and you could press a button and it can play a song. That's not you playing music.
That's not you playing music,
No,
right?
and it requires the learning the scales and the notes and then playing and the practicing to make the music yourself. To me, that's the beauty of religion. It's learning the scales.
It's the process.
It is the process.
There
is no process in this.
There's no process.
The process is I believe, ask, believe, receive. That's the process, and that's it. You do those three things, and you're set.
Works with me with my wife. I dream and I think about the dinner, and I come home and it's there, and it works. It absolutely works. We got about 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left, very quickly.
Yes.
And I'm not doing you justice in this. Does Jewish mysticism or Kabbalah, does that contain a secret? Because some people discuss that, you know, legend.
Well, it certainly does have secrets in them, and there is a requirement that you have to be a certain age to study and to learn, 40 years old, and have gone through certain life experiences. But of course, now we know that there are things like the Kabbalah Center, and anyone can learn.
Right.
But it is within a context. It is within a tremendous amount of learning, and maybe using the piano analogy, it is moving from, you know, Mary Had a Little Lamb to the great works, to Mozart.
Right.
It's
Where's
not
the process?
It's getting there that is the majority of it. But if you you could extract expressions from Jewish mysticism that sound very similar to this, but again, it's within a context, and it's within the context that God is the one. We can't control God. We can't manipulate things around us.
Right.
But that we can send out, in a way, good vibes and bad vibes.
Right.
Kabbalah is very big on that notion. Good angels and bad angels, and even can emanate from our thoughts, and not just from our deeds. And that we do impact the world around us, and in fact, impact the world above us as well in our actions and deeds.
You know, we're just about out of time. I just love having conversations with you. You have good insight, you got a good mind, and you certainly have a good background of reading and of learning. We'll pick some time for you to come back again for other conversations.
Thank you very much.
No, I enjoy it. It was great, and it was good discussing this particular book because it's been and it still will be a hot item for a long time. And it's good to discuss it and put it in its proper context, I guess.
I agree.
And when the show is over, I'm just going to sit there and I'm going to be thinking about all the things, you know, and all of a sudden have it appear. If it appears, I'm calling you and I'm going to tell you, hey, forget about all the other stuff. It works. It works. It's just terrific. The stock market went up to 15,000 or something like that. But alas, it's not going to happen. Rabbi Todd Chizner, thank you very much for taking the time from your busy schedule to come down. It was wonderful talking with you, and I look forward to seeing you at the temple.
Thank you so much.
It's great. It's just terrific, and we'll spend more time discussing other things and Judaism and how it impacts on people's lives.
I hope so.
It's terrific. I hope that you got a lot out of this, and you can catch some of the readings and see for yourself, and tell me, what do you think? Do you think that you should just stay in a corner and sit there and just say, I want, or go out and get it and make it happen yourself? You think someone's just going to give it to you? All pieces of the universe are going to line up and there you go, you got it. I don't know. You tell me. I'm very interested to hear what happens with you. So, Dr. Pass is saying right now, so long for now, and keep in touch because I'd like to hear what's going on. Rabbi, thank you very much again.
Thank you again.
Okay. Take care.